Continuing with the two-port parameters, in session 15, we look at both impedance and admittance parameters. So these sessions will be a little lighter and not as heavy as the previous theory. We discussed already about the impedance parameters of a two-port network, where we said that any two-port network which is reciprocal can be expressed in terms of a T network. And the elements are A, B, C, D. Some authors also write it as T. It's all the same. And you can have three elements A, B, and C. And Z11 would be given by A plus B. Z22 is C plus B. And Z12, Z21 are equal to the middle element B. This network is reciprocal. And this equivalent T network is possible whenever you have passive linear elements. In fact, these elements which are reciprocal are also are referred to by another term called bilateral. So a bilateral element or network is a reciprocal network. Okay. And you could represent it by a T network where you would have the elements. This is port 1, port 2. And in place of B, you would have this as Z12. That's equal to Z21. And similarly, this would be Z11 minus Z12 and Z22 minus Z21. Now let us look at one network which is not reciprocal, because what you have here is a dependent voltage source. So the voltage source is dependent on I2, the current on the other port, and by some term alpha. What would be the unit of alpha here? Alpha is impedance. Okay, so the voltage is impedance times current. If I want to find out what are the Z parameters of this network, then what I would have to do is I would write down that Z11 is V1 over I1 with the port 2 open circuited. So if the port 2 is open circuited, then the relationship is that you have V1 is equal to alpha I2 plus I1 into 2 plus S. Okay. And if the port 2 is open circuited, then I2 is 0. The other relationship you have is if port 1 is open circuited, then V1 is equal to S times I2. And then you have V2 is equal to, again, S plus 3 into I2 plus I1 into S. So this way you're able to write the relationships between the voltages and the currents. And then if you set the respective currents equal to 0, then you can get the values of the individual impedances. So for example, Z11 is now equal to what? Z11 is V1 over I1 when I2 is equal to 0. So that's equal to 2 plus S. So let's write it down here. And then you're left with Z22 is equal to 3 plus S. What about the other values? You have V1 over Z21 is equal to V1 over I2 when I1 is equal to 0, and that's equal to S. And then finally Z12, no, this is Z12, sorry. And Z21 is V2 over I1 when I2 is set to 0. So that's equal to V2 over I1 is also equal to S. So let's see whether we got this right. Let me write down the meshes properly. So this is mesh 1, not I. And here is the path 2, two different meshes. So the first equation V1 is alpha I2 plus I1 into 2 plus S plus I2 into 2 plus S. So let me just erase this and directly write this as plus I2 S. And then V2 is S plus 3 I2 plus I1 into S. Okay, so these are the two equations. And now if I put I1 equal to 0 in the first equation, if I put I1 as 0, then I'm left with V1 is alpha I2 plus I2S. So V1 is actually alpha plus S into I2 if I put I1 is equal to 0. So this thing that I've written here is Z. Let's relook at it. So V2 is S plus 3 I2 plus I1S. And if I want Z to 1, then I have to put I2 equal to 0. And therefore, I'm left with V2 by I1, and that is equal to S over here. In the other case, where I'm looking for Z12, then I'm doing V1 over I2 when I1 is 0. So if I1 is 0, this term vanishes, and I'm left with V1 is equal to alpha plus S into I2. So I should write that as alpha plus S. Okay. So this is basically the example of non-reciprocal. That means Z12 not equal to Z21. So this is not bilateral. And then you can always represent this kind of impedance network with the standard formulation. That is, you can say that V1 is Z11 into I1 plus Z12 I2. So Z12 I2 would be like a voltage source, plus and minus. So then you can say that this is V1, this is Z11, and there's a current I1 flowing in here. So V1 is Z11 times I1 plus Z12 I2. So here I'm explicitly writing out the voltages. Similarly, on the other side, I could have Z22 I2, this is V2, and there is Z21 I1. So this is basically just taking care of the equation in a very obvious way. To say that the voltage at the input side V1 is equal to Z11 I1 plus Z12 I2. And similarly, the output is V2 is Z22 I2 and Z21 I1. This is a very explicit way of representing. So even if I have a network which is not reciprocal, which is not bilateral, it can still be represented by this. In the earlier case, when I had the T network representation, that was even more simple because I have only one element in the middle. And that allowed me to represent networks which are bilateral, which are reciprocal. So then I can use Z12 and Z21 interchangeably over there. So just like the impedance parameters, there are admittance parameters also possible, where instead of the earlier case where we said that V1 and V2 are being expressed in terms of I1 and I2, we are now expressing the currents in terms of the voltages. That's what you see here. So the basic equation is I1 is Y11 V1 plus Y12 V2. I2 is Y21 V1 plus Y22 V2. Much the same as the previous Z parameter equation. Do we have it up there? not written here anyway. So the subscripts 1 1 again relate to I1 connecting to V1, 1 2 correct relate to I1 connecting to V2, and so forth. In this case, if I want to calculate the individual parameters, then what would be the values? I would have to say that y11 is equal to v1 over is I1 over v1 when v2 is equal to 0, and y22 similarly is I2 over v2 when v1 is equal to 0. What about y12? That's v2 over I1, and you get the idea, right? It's a very symmetric, yeah, structure. And this is when v1 is equal to 0. I1 over v2, my apologies. So this is, and y21 is I2 over v1 when v2 is equal to 0. So the reason these are admittance because it's very obviously current over voltage, and the word short circuit is used because in this case you're setting v1 0, v2 0. Remember in the earlier case when I wanted z parameters, in the case of z parameters, I said that I'm calculating v1 as a function of say I1 when I2 is 0. If I want to make I2 equal to 0, then basically what I have to do is I have to open circuit, because when I open circuit the terminal, then the current cannot flow. So that way I'm making I2 equal to 0. Here it's the opposite. I want to make the voltage 0. So I have to short circuit the terminal. For example, if I want Y11, then what do I need to do? I would need to short circuit the output so that V2 is 0. Still I2 current can flow. Okay. But V2 becomes 0. So that would be the way to go about doing this. So let's, easiest ways to take some example. And here are some representations. And, this is called the pi network equivalent. And we can even, do it without looking at this table here, at this figure here. So let's say that I want to create a pi network equivalent. Normally in electrical engineering, there is always a duality theorem which allows you to express elements by their duals. For example, if this is a T network of resistors, you can always convert this into a pi network of admittances. And this is something you would have studied in your IC 160, because there, if you look at it closely, you will actually recognize that this is your star versus delta formation, right? Y network. So you have your Y and this is delta. That's all it is. So you can always have this duality principle, and usually if you have set of elements, for example, if these are inductors, then they can be replaced by capacitors in the pi network. So if I have a set of inductors here, they'll become capacitors over here, and they will have the equivalent impedance, so forth. So if you want to create something like that for the two-port network of impedances, of admittances, then you can always have this called, let's say there is various admittances here. This is A, B, and C. Okay. Remember that these are admittances. I'm not drawing impedances. And then I have V1, V2 with I1, I2 going in. So what is the value of Y11? Y11 is the case when the value of V2 is set to 0. Okay, if V2 is equal to 0, then I1 over V1, if I want to make V2 0, I have to short circuit the output. So I've short circuited this. Once I've short circuited this, then this admittance is no longer there, because a short circuit is like an infinite admittance, right? So it's, this element is not playing a role. So what are you left with? You're left with one admittance A and one admittance B, and they are both in parallel to each other. So what is the value of Y11 for this circuit? nothing but A plus B. What about Y22? Clearly, there's the same symmetry, right? If I short circuit the input side, then what do I expect to find? Y22 is going to be B plus C, right? And now I'm left with Y12 and Y21. So Y12 is equal to I1 over V2 with V1 set to 0. So let's put V1 equal to 0. And then I have to find out what is the value of I1 over V2. Now I have some voltage V2 applied over here, and I'm measuring the ratio of the current I1 to the voltage V2. So I1 is nothing but the negative of I2, because if V1 is short circuit, and by my convention I have some positive voltage, which let me write it as here, plus and minus. By that convention, if I have V2 voltage applied here, which is causing I2 current to flow in, then you know that I2 is going into this branch, not this branch, sorry, because we have short circuited the output. So I2 is going across this and it's going across this. And I1 is just the negative of I2, which is going across the B element. So what is going to be the value of I1 over V2? So V2 over I2 over V2, we already did it as B plus C, right? B plus C is the total admittance, and I1 is minus I2, which is, okay, let's not write it as B plus C in the denominator. So I1 is, let me write it separately here instead of doing it mentally. So I1 is minus I2 into B by C, because B is the admittance branch, which is preferred by I1. So I1 is minus I2 into B by C. And now I have to find out what is I1 by V2. That's equal to minus I2 by V2 into B by C. And I2 by V2 is equal to Y22. So this is B divided by C into B plus C or something like that. Let's try it out to make sure it's correct. Let's double cross check the answer. I did not write that formula correctly. So let me just erase this part. So basically this should have been B over B plus C. That's the ratio. And now if I want to do Y12, then I would say that this part is Y22 or rather minus Y22. So Y12 would be minus of B plus C, that's the Y22 part, into B by B plus C. So that's equal to minus B. And since the network is reciprocal, then we can say that this is also equal to Y21. Okay. So let's just highlight those terms. So this is this. Okay. So in this sense, you are able to like express the terminal currents. If you know what are the voltages, if I'm applying voltages at either end of the network, then I can express the currents in terms of the admittances. And in the bottom, you can then see the equivalent figures. So this is Y11 plus Y12 minus Y12, right? So we said that the element is B, and we said B is minus Y12. So essentially you got minus Y12 here. And you said Y11 is A plus B. So this is Y11 plus Y12, because A is equal to Y11 minus B, right? Over here, A is Y11 minus B, and the minus B is plus Y21. So essentially this is Y11 plus Y12 or Y21. And similarly, this is Y22 plus Y12. And this is the simplified network for a reciprocal system. If it is not reciprocal, a generalized network could be expressed in terms of its admittance parameters as follows. If I have some terminal voltage, that's the terminal current I times I is equal to basically V times Y11 plus I mean the total current I is equal to V1 times Y11 plus Y12 times V2. So this is a voltage dependent current source. Okay, in the earlier case, what we talked about was a current dependent voltage source over here. So dependent voltage source, and here you have a dependent current source. So the total current is the sum of the voltage and the admittance and the uh, current source. And similarly, in the output side, I2 is Y22 times V2 plus Y21 times V1. So these are like the simple representations of the admittance matrix. So let's try to solve a couple of quick questions and get familiarized with the two-port network. So maybe what I can do is move this up so we have more space to work. Let's start with this. So let's move this up. And the question here is, can you find the Y parameters? Since you remember that we discussed this in terms of admittances, these elements, and here what we have measured are in terms of resistances, then in order to apply the formula we directly have, we would have to convert this pi network into an admittance network, right? So just let me write this down as pi representation. Right? Because it looks like the symbol pi. So it's got one branch, and one branch here. Now, if I want to find the Y parameters and I want the admittances, then I would have to write it as this is 0.5 Siemens, this is 0.25, and 1 by 8 is 0.125, right? Because we did the Boolean algebra, and so we remember the inverse of these. Now I want to find out what's the value of the V2, I1, I2. The reason I try to darken these arrows is these are the current direction arrows, whereas in electrical systems, when you have these single arrows without darkening, they have a different connotation. They are talking about the signal flow. These are talking about the physical current flows. So now I want to find out what is Y11, Y22, Y12. What is Y12? It's minus 0.5 Siemens. What is Y11? We said that from the above network, this is Y11 plus Y12. So if I want to have Y11, then it is this value minus Y12. Okay. So Y11 is 0.25 plus 0.5. Okay. Because we said that this is minus Y12 and we want to add plus Y12. So this is going to be this. And similarly, Y22 is going to be 0.125 plus 0.5. 0.75. This is 0.625. So that's it. So we've calculated the equivalent admittance parameters of this two-port network because we converted the resistances to admittances. What about this one here? If I want to find out the Y parameters. Now, if I were to do the same thing, then there is V1, V2, I1, and I2. If I have to calculate, what do I do now? I know the equations. I know that I1 is Y11 V1 plus Y12 V2. I2 is y21 v1 plus y22 v2. So what is the value of y11? Y11 is basically requiring you to short the output terminal. So if I short this, then the 30 ohm resistor is gone and you're left with what? 20 ohms. I'm sorry, if I short that output terminal, then 30 ohms and 40 ohms are in parallel and I'm left with, so the total, this is going to be, y11 is admittance. So it's the inverse of 20 plus 30 in parallel with 40. Okay. What is y22 going to be? Because now I have resistances, I could have either converted them to admittances and tried to solve, or I'm using them as resistances. So I'm finding out the equivalent resistance and then, inverting it. Similarly, when I have to do y22, then what I'm going to do is I'll short circuit the input side and I'm left with 20 in parallel with 40. So that's 1 over 30 plus 20 in parallel with 40, right? And then if I want to do y12, then what would that be? Y12 requires that I should set V1 equal to 0. So short the input side and find out what is the value of I1 over V2. So that's going to be uh, I1 is the current flowing through the 20 ohm branch, and that's let's see. So we can say that V2 is equal to 30 I2 plus 20 in parallel with 40 I2. And then you have I1 is equal to 20 or 40 I2 by 60, right? And so you have to basically replace I2 with I1. So this is like equation 1. This is equation 2. So put 2 in 1 and you can then substitute here and get what's the value of y12. And since this is a reciprocal network, then y12 is equal to y21. Now there is an interesting thing. We could have also noticed that since this is a T network, I could have quickly found out the Z parameters, and can I directly obtain the Y parameters from the Z parameters? So let's say transformation of, see, there is no one particular correct method. It's just that, whatever strikes you, you can use any of those methods. So in this case, we said that I1, V1 is, or I1 is I1, I2 can be written as Y11, Y12, Y21, Y22 times V1, V2, right? That implies I can also say that Y11, Y12, Y21, Y22 inverse is equal to Z11, right? That's very much very much clear, right? Because we said that current is some admittance times the voltage, and when I looked at the Z parameter matrix, then what I had written was, I had written that V1 V2 was equal to Z11, Z12 times I1, I2, right? So if you were to equate these two equations, then basically the Y matrix is the inverse of the Z matrix. So I could either have written this inverse is equal to Z, or I could write this is equal to Z inverse. Either of them is fine, right? And I know that if this is a T network, then I can quickly find out the Z parameters, because on top we showed that the Z parameters are given by here. Z11 is A plus B, and Z22 C plus B, and Z12 Z21 are just equal to B. So if I looked at this T network, then I could have quickly figured out that Z21, let me make this a little smaller so I can see them both simultaneously. So then I would have said that Z11 is equal to Z21 is 40, that's Z12, and Z22 is equal to 30 plus 40 is 70, and Z12 is 60. Z11 is 60. So I've already got the values of Z by just very quick manual inspection. Now I just need to find the inverse of the Z matrix. And what's the inverse of the Z matrix? We know that the inverse of this matrix is nothing but Z22 minus Z12 minus Z21. This is the inverse of any 2 by 2 matrix. So this is like a standard formula that you can remember. This divided by the determinant. And what is the determinant? Determinant is Z11, Z22 minus Z12, Z21. Now, when you look at the equation, it may look complicated that, I have to calculate this inverse matrix and all, but conceptually it's, much faster. Supposing, if I zoom in, then for the case of, the network which has resistors as shown over here, then what I needed to do was I had to find out the parallel combination and series combination and then take the inverse. When I wanted to find out the y12 term, then I had to actually take the equations, try to find out I1 in terms of V2, and it was a little complicated. There is more chance of making mistakes when you're trying to solve the circuit. Whereas if you, even though the equation may be cumbersome, if it is a well-formed equation, there is less likelihood of making mistakes. So that's all it is. So if I know that there is a T network, I can always calculate the Z parameters instantaneously. And I just need to do the straightforward math on a calculator and find out what is the inverse of this. Okay. So that's about it for the Z and T parameters. So maybe I'll take up more of this in the next class.